Hello, this is Bill Steffen. The clock is chiming next to me, and it's time for a snowstorm here in West Michigan. Most of us are going to see half a foot of snow or even a little bit more than that. So let's get straight to the headlines here and show you what's ahead. Winter storm warning, and that lasts until 10 a.m. Sunday. Most of us will see 6 to 10 inches of snow. There may be a touch less than that up toward Baldwin and from there off to the north, but this is going to be a significant snowstorm for us. Roads are going to be snow covered and slippery, and an extended period of cool weather during the coming week. Temperatures during the daytime will struggle up into the low to mid 30s, and that's about 5-10 degrees cooler than average for this time of year. Okay, all the counties in pink are under a winter storm warning. That's for 6 to 10 inches of new snow, and you can see that runs all the way up to Oceana, Newaygo, and Mecosta counties. A little bit less snow may fall over toward Detroit, where there may be a little bit of a mix there for a little bit, and a little bit less snow as you go off to the north of US 10. But like I said, a significant storm. Now, the pink counties are under a winter storm warning. The purple counties, next slide, are under a winter weather advisory. And this is for 4 to 7 inches of snow, so a little bit less, but still, like I said, a significant storm in southeast Michigan and northern lower Michigan. All right, let's take a look at some of the regional warnings here. This storm starting out in Canada, actually, producing heavy snow in parts of Montana, across the Plains states. Just about everybody in Iowa is seeing some significant snow. There'll be some snow totals up to a foot north of Des Moines. Snow will be falling across much of Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, northwest Ohio. And there'll be some significant lake effect as the storm winds down across parts of Pennsylvania and New York. So anybody traveling east of Cleveland on I-90 is going to run into problems. But if you're traveling south, you're going to have to get down past Indianapolis before you get out of the snow. Interstate 75 should be snow covered by Saturday evening in northwest Ohio. And you can see Interstate 80 pretty much all the way out to central Nebraska with very wintry conditions there. All right, this is a look at how much snow has fallen here since Wednesday already. We've had about 8.5 inches at Fremont. Now, some of this, a little bit of this has melted, a little bit of this has settled down, so there may not be 8.5 inches on the ground in Fremont. But again, this is how much has fallen. Over half a foot at Plainwell and White Cloud, the Holland area, 5 to 6.5 inches. Several reports there, and we thank people for that. Granville to East Grand Rapids, 4 to 5 inches, and we've had about 3.5 inches in Walker. I'm closer to probably 3 inches at my house in Alpine Township. Kalamazoo, 3.2, and the Grand Rapids Airport at 1.9 inches. Here's a look at some other snow totals from Michigan, from upper Michigan and northern lower Michigan. 1 mile west of Ironwood. And Ironwood is at the west end of the Upper Peninsula, 31.3 inches of snow. Some places up there with 2 feet of snow on the ground. Waters is where the National Weather Service office is for the Gaylord region, which is northern lower Michigan. So meteorologists tracked 25 inches there. You can see down on the bottom at Otsego Lake State Park. This past summer, I spent an afternoon at Otsego Lake State Park, and that's the first time I saw Otsego Lake. And after reporting on them for a long time, they picked up 18 inches of new snow. And so that stretch up there really saw some significant snow in that band coming off of Lake Michigan. 66-hour snowfall, and look at that huge glob. Anything with yellow or orange or even red would be over 6 inches of snow, and that's a lot of snow. 6 to 10 inches, likely parts of Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Iowa. You can also see another area of heavier snow out in the Colorado Rockies, and some of the mountains out there already seeing some pretty good skiing. We'll zoom in a little bit, take a look at the Great Lakes area here, and you can see where the heavier snow is southwest of Grand Rapids, parts of northern Indiana, and the area from about Holland to Kalamazoo off to the south should be seeing the higher snow totals with this system. But even off to the north and off to the east, 6 inches of snow is certainly a possibility. We'll zoom in a little bit closer here, and you'll be able to see again the heavier snow just south of Holland, around Fenville to Kalamazoo and south. Snow will start out fairly lightly in the morning, in this Saturday morning, and then pick up a little bit in intensity by around late afternoon and evening. So when you wake up in the morning here, you're not going to see a whole lot of snow on the ground. A few spots may not see much of any snow. but it will be developing and starting out light, and then it will thicken up a little bit as the afternoon goes on. And I want to show you Grand Rapids here. This is kind of interesting. This is one of our models that tries to predict how much snow you're going to get. It's got 10 inches for us in Grand Rapids. That's a little bit on the high side for some of the models that we look at. Low end at 8 inches. So you can see it's got a 100% chance of 6 inches of snow for Grand Rapids, 91% average for 8 inches, and 67% for 12 inches. That's a little bit high. And again, keep in mind, this is snowfall and not necessarily snow accumulation. You wouldn't be able, if you had 12 inches of snowfall and you stuck a ruler in the ground, you'd probably get 9 or 10 inches out of it. All right, let's go on and take a look at some specific cities here. And if you're, if you're going along here watching the video, you may want to pause it and then take a look at the graphic. This kind of predicts how much snow is going to fall with each time period. So if you pick out Grand Rapids, it prints out less than half an inch of snow by 7 a.m., so not much of anything. And then 2.8 inches by the time we hit 1 p.m., 3.5 inches from between 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. So again, that's the time period where we're more concerned. And if you look in the column off to the right where there's yellow and orange and some numbers there, that's how much total snow is expected. You can see Kalamazoo with 10.5, South Haven at 10.5, Grand Rapids 8.9. It's probably pretty close to what we're going to get. And as you travel off to the north, snow total is a little bit less. Ludington there with 6.5. Okay, here's a look at, again, the wide swath of snow and some of the snow that's expected. 11 inches Des Moines, 13 inches Iowa City, 10 inches down at Peoria, a good solid 8 inches of snow in Chicago, and they've got about 8 inches for Grand Rapids. This is from the National Weather Service, and I think this is a pretty good estimate of how much snow we're going to see by 6 p.m. on Sunday. You can see the heavier snow goes all the way up into the eastern UP, where some places up there have already had a lot of snow. Marquette's had over 40 inches of snow this month, and they're getting another at least 3 to 6 up there. So that should really get there. There's one ski resort that's open, Ski Brule, which is usually the first one to open. But there's another half a dozen resorts that expect to be open next weekend, first weekend in December. So keep that in mind. Okay, lake forecast. The winds go southeast, so the lake will be calming down. It's been pretty choppy here of late. That's what the lake looked like yesterday, Friday. Southeast winds should kick up to 10 to 15 knots on the lake. Waves probably be closer to the foot right at the shore, and 3 feet as you get a little bit away from shore. Water temperatures continue to drop, and of course we keep an eye on that because that's a factor when we get lake effect snow when our winds turn back to the northwest. To see exactly where we're going to be. But the Howland Channel is down to 40, and Reed's Lake dropped another one to 41 degrees. Be a while before we get ice for ice fishing out there, but cool pattern shaping up here over the next week or so. Okay, today's weather looks like this: 32 degrees for a high temperature, 100% chance of snow. I don't do that very often. That snow continues here into Saturday night. Humidity only goes down to about 80%. In fact, much of the day it should be closer to 90% with the snow coming down. Southeast winds at 10 to 15. Take a look at the high temperatures for this Saturday. High temperatures in the low 30s across most all of the area. You got a 33 for Detroit, maybe 37 over there towards Cedar Point, Sandusky, Ohio. But average temperatures are low 40s, so this is about 10 degrees cooler than average for this time of year. And we're looking at Sunday now, and you can see temperatures are a couple degrees warmer. Sunday could actually be the warmest day out of the next 8 days. And we're barely above the freezing mark here. With winds turning a little bit more to the northwest, no lake effect warming in Chicago where it's just 31, Green Bay at 28. Temperatures off to the north about the same, maybe 40 for northern Ohio, but everybody here in Michigan low to mid 30s. We're going to take a look at high temperatures across the entire United States for today. Pleasant 70s in central and south Florida, a few low 80s down there in South Texas, and 74 for Phoenix. You can see where the core of the cold air is from Montana across into the Great Lakes and the northern part of New England. Look at there's some temperatures there in Montana that aren't even going to reach 10 above. So that's some pretty chilly air. And as the system gets by, that cold air is going to rotate on in. It won't be quite that cold here, but and we're going to see another cold front coming through for the second week of December, which will be even colder still. So if you're waiting for the temperatures to be back up into the 40s or 50s, that's going to be a long time coming. That's for sure. Okay, 5-day forecast, 100% chance of snow today, 90% for Sunday early morning. That tapers off to about 40-50% for the afternoon. Small chances for some lighter snow Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Probably the best chance of that would be Monday night. And you can see those temperatures, how cold they're going to be here, with an average high temperature of 42. We're 32 today, just 29 for high temperature here during the day on Monday. So it's not January cold, but it's certainly colder than we usually are during the end of November and early December. And the 8 to 14 day outlook, you can see the below right stamped out over Lake Michigan. So indeed, that core of the coldest air is going to be over the Great Lakes and Northeast. Still on the mild side for South Florida, and warm out west, where there will be a few 70s and 80s out there. So all in all, it looks like what we see is going to continue. The 8 to 14 day outlook has above average precipitation over much of the country, kind of a stormy pattern. And when it's cold, that means snow for West Michigan. So keep the snow shovel, the scraper, the brush handy, and save a few extra dollars for that heating bill for the month of December.
You know, it's a big shopping weekend, but I already have your Christmas gifts covered.
Oh, okay, cool.
I got you one thing from Turkey, and I got you one thing from Finland, and I'll bring them
when I come turkey.
Mm-hmm. It might be a turkey.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. Wow. I can't wait. Turkeys.
And I know I'm in my 40s, but will you put up strings like you did when we were little kids?
Oh yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to take a picture of that.
So how did that become a tradition? You said that you saw
how
it
long
at
have we done that?
somebody's
We've done
house?
this since you were little kids, at least.
Little. I remember maybe 8, 9 years old.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
Yeah.
the
We start
tradition is
strings at the kids' stockings and then string them all over the house. And then they have to start at their stocking, and then they have to follow the string all over the house to find out little gifts, which we hang on the yarn with a clothespin.
Mm-hmm.
I've used the same clothespins for 20 years, and that's the only time I use clothespins, but it works, and we've had a lot of fun with it. You can put money, because that's light. It won't drag down the yarn too much. You can put on little candies and little gifts. Fun.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's a lot of fun. Okay, let's see what we've got to talk about today. Okay, so in the storm that happened on Wednesday, there were reports that water levels fell in Lake Erie during the storm because the winds were so strong that they pushed all the water east, making it look like the lake had drained away significantly, up to 3 and 4 feet of water in some places.
That is amazing. That is the technical term for that is a standing seiche. Seiche is a French word, S-E-I-C-H-E, I believe, but it's pronounced seiche. And what happens is the wind on Lake Erie is west-southwest, so it starts down by Toledo, and that strong wind pushes the water toward Buffalo. And I have seen the water level at Toledo be 6 feet lower than the water level at Buffalo. And of course, when the lake water is, the water level is quite high, then that extra added water from the seiche comes in and does some flooding over toward Buffalo. They have walls up there. Fortunately, the lakes are not at maximum heights right now. They're down a little bit below average, but that's interesting. We get that here on Lake Michigan too, but Lake Erie is so pronounced with that west-southwest to east-northeast geographic shape there that it kind of accentuates it.
How long does it take for the lake to go back to normal once the winds die down?
Pretty quickly, and sometimes if the wind stops suddenly, it sloshes back and forth, kind of like the water in a bathtub, which is really interesting because you can get a really big line of severe thunderstorms pushing, steady 60-mile-an-hour winds, and that will push the water toward Buffalo, or it'll push the water on Lake Michigan toward Muskegon, Holland, Benton Harbor, South Haven. And that water suddenly goes down, and drains back out toward the middle of the lake. And so you get some very dangerous currents. We had an episode, what was that? At Benton Harbor, St. Joseph, there were 6 or 7 fatalities, people that drowned, because after a big thunderstorm, they went back into the water, and there was such a pull pulling people out away from shore as currents developed, especially near the rivers. The water was really flowing to get out of Macatawa and Muskegon Lake to get back in Lake Michigan. So that was interesting. Yeah, you can look that up on the internet. I think it was July 4, it might have been 2003, where we had half a dozen fatalities. And one young boy was picked up, golly, a quarter of a mile offshore by a boat. And he had just been out there treading water. So pretty lucky for him. So you should always, in a situation like that, use a flotation device.
And on this day in 1966, the SS Daniel J. Morrell sank in Lake Huron. And there it is. It was a 603-foot freighter. And there was a storm in Lake Huron. The ship broke in two and sank. There were 20-foot waves, 60-mile-an-hour winds. One crew member of the 29 survived. And that survivor was found adrift 38 hours later in a life raft.
Wow, 38 hours later.
In November.
And you would think, with a storm like that going on, that he would have been wet.
Yeah, he was.
Look at how long that ship is. You said 603 feet?
At the time, it was the longest when it was built.
Yeah, so let's see. What's a football field is 100 yards or about 300 feet, so it would be twice as long as a football field.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big boat. And again, this is kind of like the Edmund Fitzgerald, which also broke in 2 pieces. And they think what happened is waves lifted up the sides, and then the middle didn't have any support, and it just cracked in half and sank. Mm-hmm. So there was no distress call. It just sank in a matter of literally seconds, probably.
Yeah, we've got seasons on the show. I guess November is shipwreck season.
Oh, it is. It really is.
Tornadoes will be back next spring.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Tornado season can start early. We've had tornadoes in Michigan the end of February and in March, and a lot of them in April. Some of our worst tornadoes occur in April and early spring, really, early May. Wow.
And many of the crew members died from hypothermia, not drowning, which highlighted how important that is and what a danger that is for sailors.
Right. Yeah, I've talked to people that actually, worry about that quite a bit. Hypothermia when you have cold water. That really, you're kind of impressed with those people that do the kite surfing in winter. With storms like we just had here, and they'll go out in their dry suits, and they'll be out there for an hour or two going back and forth.
Okay, here's your quiz for the day. On November 29, 2004, this character received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Since his debut in a film bearing his name, the character has appeared in 38 films, 5 of which were American.
38 films. I bet some of them were Japanese, correct? Because that was Godzilla. I remember watching Godzilla, and he's got a star on the Walk of Fame. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
On this day in 2004.
When they unveiled that star, I'm wondering.
Which I think was the 50th anniversary of Godzilla.
Yeah, and beautiful black and white, and the low budget films like that. It's really kind of interesting. And then I remember watching, I think it was Godzilla versus Mothra, which was a giant moth, and of course we had Godzilla battling King Kong too. Kind of trashed the city, but wow, interesting. Well, there's a pretty picture.
Yeah, beautiful one with the sun and the colors from Muskegon today.
Yeah, we got sunlit waters over there on the left, and would that be a sunbeam coming down in the middle, or would that be snow? A snow shaft over there that the sun is illuminating? It's interesting, but you can see the sunshine on the water there as you look out, and clouds in the foreground. Yeah, Lake Michigan can be a very beautiful place, and at times, a rather scary place too when you have big storms like this come up.
Mm-hmm. And Bernie was having some fun with the snow while he was shoveling.
Well, that's interesting. Those are pine
Yeah.
needles, I bet.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Looks like a porcupine. Or it looks like isn't there a critter on one of the commercials that looks like that?
Yeah, it reminds me of a Castaway where Tom Hanks's character starts talking to the volleyball.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Oh wow. Well,
Okay,
neat
thanks,
picture, Penny.
Bernie.
Thanks for the effort.
And I
And
love
another-
this one. I love the white crispy snow.
yes, and you've got the leaf perched there on some blades of grass. It looks like
Mm-hmm.
some vegetation. It's
Mhm.
amazing how they kind of cling to that.
Mm-hmm.
You can go over that sometimes with a rake, and the leaf still is clinging to the needles. Interesting. Wow, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
From John Doherty. We have kite sailors in Benzie County. One,
Or are
two,
those
three,
birds?
7. Are they birds? It could be. I'm looking at them from far away. I would assume they're birds.
I think they're birds.
That would probably be a better guess.
It's the birds deciding it's too cold and leaving.
I was looking at the one which is center, the one that's the closest to the center, a little bit below
Mm-hmm.
midway there, and that looked like
A little bit. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Birds are pretty resilient, aren't they? I mean, they'll stay out here, during the winter, and if they miss a food source, then they'll fly away somewhere else. But if there's something for them to eat, they'll fly around, have a good time here, right on through the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And there we are at the end already.
Mm-hmm.
Really want to caution everybody to drive safely. The snow is going to be starting out fairly lightly during the Saturday morning and pick up in intensity a little bit during the afternoon. And it will be kind of a long duration event. It may start snowing in the morning and may continue to snow into Sunday morning. So all the snow is not going to come in 2 or 3 hours. It may snow at the rate of half an inch every hour, and that will certainly add up. But it will be cold enough for it to be sticking to the area roads out there. So do be careful. Be careful shoveling snow, especially when you get to be my age, and worry about heart issues when you have a heavier snow like this. So anyhow, thanks so much for staying with us until the end. Have yourself a fantastic weekend.